Captain Sarah Martinez stared at the massive holographic display in the council chamber. The room was bigger than most human cities, with representatives from over 300 alien species floating, sitting, or hovering in their designated areas. The air shimmered with different atmospheric mixtures to keep everyone alive. 50 years had passed since humans first met aliens. It started when the Vorthak found Earth during one of their exploration missions. The tall, ghost-like beings with their silver skin and glowing eyes had been surprised to find humans. Most species in the galaxy were much older and more advanced. Humans were like children compared to them. The Galactic Council had rules about new species. They had to prove they were peaceful and smart enough to join. Humans barely passed the tests. Many council members voted against letting them in. The Zephyrians, who looked like walking crystals, thought humans were too violent. The Mallory, with their tentacles and multiple brains, said humans were too unpredictable. But humans had something the galaxy needed. They were good at fighting, and the galaxy had problems with space pirates and rogue AI machines. So the council let humans join as junior members. They could trade with other species and learn their technology. But they had no real power in decisions. Sarah remembered those early days. She was just a child when the first alien ships came to Earth. Everyone was excited and scared at the same time. Her parents worked in one of the new alien technology centers that opened in every major city. Humans learned fast. Maybe too fast for some aliens. The problem started 3 months ago. A human colony ship called the New Hope was traveling to a new world when they got a distress signal. A Malari research station was under attack by pirates. The station had families on it, including children. Captain Rodriguez of the New Hope made a choice. He ordered his ship to help even though it meant entering Vorthak's sacred space. The Vorthak had claimed an entire star system as holy because their ancestors once lived there. No other species was allowed inside. The New Hope saved the Mallory station and drove off the pirates. But the Vorthak were furious. They said humans had broken the most important law in the galaxy. They demanded punishment. Now Sarah stood in the council chamber as the human representative trying to defend her species. She wore her best diplomatic uniform, but she felt small among all these ancient and powerful beings. The human ship had no choice, Sarah said into her translator device. Her words came out in hundreds of different languages and thought patterns. They were saving innocent lives. Any human would have done the same thing. The Vorthak Prime speaker floated forward. Its body was almost transparent, and its voice sounded like wind through empty spaces. This is exactly the problem with humans. You act without thinking. You break laws because you feel they are wrong. You do not understand order. A Zephyrian delegate stepped forward, its crystal body ringing like a bell. Humans have caused 17 diplomatic incidents in the last 5 years. They refuse to follow proper procedures. They question decisions made by species with millions of years of experience. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. We question things because we want to understand. We act to help others because we believe life is precious. These are good things, no, said the Vorthak Prime speaker. These are dangerous things. Humans spread chaos wherever they go. Other species start to question the old ways after meeting humans. This cannot continue. The vote happened quickly. Species after species voted to exile humanity from the galaxy. Only a few smaller species voted to keep humans, but they had little power. The final count was overwhelming. The Zephyrian Prime announced the decision. By the ancient laws of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby exiled from galactic civilization. All trade agreements are cancelled. All technology sharing is stopped. All diplomatic relations are ended. Humans must return to their own space and stay there. Sarah felt like she had been hit in the stomach. You can't do this. We have colonies, trade routes, research projects with your species. Millions of humans depend on galactic medicine and technology. You have 6 months to remove all humans from galactic space, the Prime Speaker said. After that, automated defense systems will enforce the exile. Any human ship found outside designated human space will be destroyed. The chamber erupted in different sounds. Some species made noises that meant agreement. Others seemed upset. A few of the smaller species that humans had helped over the years protested, but no one listened to them. Sarah tried to speak again, but her microphone was turned off. Guards escorted her from the chamber. As she walked through the massive hallways of the council station, aliens she had worked with for years avoided looking at her. Within hours, the news spread across human space. Every human colony, every research station, every diplomatic post received the same message. Leave galactic space or face destruction. On Earth, President Chen called an emergency meeting. Sarah attended by video link from the council station. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials filled the room. Everyone looked shocked and angry. "How long do we have?" asked General Torres. 6 months to evacuate everything, Sarah replied. They're cutting off all trade immediately. No more alien technology, no more medical supplies, no more quantum communicators. Dr. Kim, the head of alien technology research, shook his head. We depend on galactic medicine for dozens of diseases. Our deep space ships use alien navigation systems. Half our energy grid runs on Zephyrian power crystals. What about our allies? Asked Admiral Zhang. Some species supported us. Sarah's voice was bitter. They don't matter. The big three species control everything. The Vorthax, Zephyrians, and Malari made this decision. Everyone else just follows. President Chen leaned forward. Do we fight? We have weapons, ships, trained soldiers. General Torres pulled up military reports. We have maybe 1,000 ships total. The Council has over 50,000, plus automated defense networks that cover half the galaxy. It would be suicide. So we run away with our tails between our legs? Admiral Zhang sounded angry. No, said President Chen. We survive. We take every piece of technology we can carry. We save every human we can save. And we remember who did this to us. The evacuation began immediately. Human ships raced across the galaxy, gathering people and equipment. Some alien friends secretly helped, sharing technology and supplies. But most species avoided humans like they had a disease. Dr. Sarah Kim worked day and night, copying alien technology and research data. Her teams took apart everything they could, learning how it worked. If humans were going to survive without galactic help, they needed to understand alien science. The saddest part was leaving friends behind. Many humans had married aliens or had alien business partners. Some relationships had lasted decades. Now they had to say goodbye forever. Captain Martinez was there for the last evacuation ship leaving the council station. As her ship pulled away, she watched the massive structure shrink in the distance. She made a promise to herself and to humanity. This isn't the end, she said quietly. This is just the beginning. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying the last humans back to Earth. Behind them, automated systems activated around human space. The galaxy's most advanced defense network turned its weapons toward Earth and human colonies. Humanity was alone again, but they were not defeated. Not yet. The exile had begun, but so had humanity's real journey among the stars. The message came through on an old emergency radio. Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her work in the underground laboratory beneath New Tokyo. The voice was crackling and weak, but she could make out the words. Mars Colony 3 to Earth, we're down to our last medical supplies. The atmospheric processors are failing. We need help. Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. It had been 2 years since the exile began. 2 years of watching human colonies struggle and sometimes die. Mars Colony 3 had 15,000 people. Without atmospheric processors, they would suffocate within weeks. Send them the new processor designs, she told her assistant, and add a supply drop to the next transport schedule. The assistant nodded, but they both knew the truth. Earth barely had enough supplies for itself. Every shipment to the colonies meant less for the homeworld. The first year after exile had been a nightmare. Without galactic medicine, old diseases came back. Without alien technology, many systems broke down. The population of human space dropped by almost 20 million people. Some died from disease. Others died when their life support systems failed. Many simply gave up and took the long sleep in cryo chambers, hoping someone would wake them when things got better. Earth's government almost collapsed 3 times. People were angry and scared. Some blamed the government for accepting the council's decision. Others wanted to fight back even though it meant certain death. Riots broke out in major cities. Military units had to keep order, but humans were good at surviving. Sarah had seen it over and over in the past 2 years. When things got impossible, humans found a way. Take the food crisis. Without alien agricultural technology, Earth couldn't feed its population. Dr. Park and Seoul had solved that by creating new growing systems using old Earth plants and recycled alien nutrients. Now Earth was actually producing more food than before the exile, or the transportation problem. Without alien jump drives, traveling between star systems took months instead of days. Admiral Torres had organized the remaining fleet into a relay system. Ships carried supplies and people along carefully planned routes. It was slower, but it worked. The best part was happening in Sarah's own laboratory. She led a team of 500 scientists working on reverse engineering alien technology. Every piece of equipment the evacuating humans had brought back was being taken apart, studied, and understood. The aliens had always treated humans like children who couldn't understand real science. They gave humans technology but never explained how it worked. Too complex for human minds, the Vorthak had said. Wait a few thousand years, the Zephyrians suggested. Sarah's team was proving them wrong. Human minds might be younger, but they were also different. Aliens thought in straight lines, following rules that were millions of years old. Humans thought around corners. Doctor, look at this, called out Dr. Roberts from across the lab. He was working on a Zephyrian power crystal, trying to understand how it worked. Sarah walked over to his workstation. The crystal was suspended in a force field, glowing with soft blue light. Alien crystals like this powered everything from starships to cities. Humans had been completely dependent on them. I think I figured out why these break down so often, Roberts said. The aliens grow them perfectly, with no flaws. But perfect crystals are actually fragile. Look, he showed Sarah his computer analysis. The crystal's structure was indeed perfect, every atom in its ideal place. But when stressed, it failed completely instead of adapting. What if we made them imperfect on purpose? Sarah asked. Roberts grinned. Exactly what I was thinking. Add some random flaws, make the structure a little messy. It should make them stronger, not weaker. This was typical human thinking. Aliens wanted perfection. Humans were used to making broken things work. In human culture, the best solutions came from fixing problems, not avoiding them. Over the next few months, Roberts and his team created new power crystals. They weren't as elegant as the alien versions, but they were much more reliable. They could take damage and keep working. They could be repaired instead of replaced. Most importantly, humans could make them without alien help. Similar breakthroughs were happening across human space. The medical team led by Dr. Patel had figured out how to grow new organs using human DNA and alien healing technology. The engineering team under Commander Walsh had designed ships that were ugly but nearly indestructible. But the biggest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lisa Chang was 16 years old and lived on a mining station near Jupiter. She wasn't a scientist or engineer. She was just a kid who was good with computers, but she had an idea that changed everything. Lisa had been studying the automated defense systems the Council had placed around human space. These systems were supposed to keep humans trapped in their small corner of the galaxy. But Lisa noticed something the alien designers had missed. The defense systems were perfect, just like all alien technology. They followed their programming exactly. They never made mistakes, never adapted, never learned. That was their weakness. Lisa wrote a simple computer virus. It didn't try to break the defense systems. Instead, it convinced them that certain human ships were actually alien ships that had permission to pass through. The virus worked. For the first time in 3 years, a human ship traveled outside the quarantine zone without being destroyed. Captain Rodriguez took his small scout ship through the defense network and into the silent sectors. These were areas of space the Council had marked as worthless. The radiation levels were high, the gravitational fields were unstable, and there were no habitable planets. But Rodriguez found something amazing. The silent sectors were full of resources, asteroids rich in rare metals, gas clouds that could be harvested for fuel, and most importantly, space that the Council didn't care about. Rodriguez came back with his ship's cargo holds full of materials Earth desperately needed. More importantly, he came back with hope. There's a whole galaxy out there that the Council ignores, he reported to Admiral Torres. We could build colonies, mining stations, research bases. As long as we stay in the worthless areas, they won't even notice us. Admiral Torres looked at the star charts Rodriguez had brought back. Hundreds of star systems marked as unsuitable for habitation by Council standards. But humans had lived in Antarctica, the bottom of the ocean and the vacuum of space. They could handle a little radiation. How many ships do we have that could make the journey? Torres asked. With the new power crystals and Dr. Chang's virus, maybe 50 to start with, Rodriguez replied. Torres nodded. Start with 10. Small groups, careful exploration. We can't afford to lose people, but we can't afford to stay trapped here either. The secret expansion began immediately. Human ships slipped through the defense network using Lisa's virus. They found asteroid bases to mine. They discovered gas giant moons that could support small colonies. They even found a few planets that the Council had rejected because of radiation. But humans could handle with the right equipment. Each new base was small and hidden. The Council's sensors couldn't detect them because they were designed to ignore the silent sectors. Humans were finally free to expand again, even if they had to do it in secret. By the end of the 4th year, humanity had built 30 hidden bases across the silent sectors. They were producing their own food, their own technology, and their own ships. Earth was no longer dying. It was growing, but the most important discovery was still to come. In a system marked as gravitational anomaly, a void, Captain Rodriguez found something that changed everything. He found aliens who weren't part of the Council. Captain Rodriguez had seen many strange things in his travels through the silent sectors, but nothing like this. His ship floated near a massive space station that looked like it had been built from the bones of dead stars. The structure was dark and twisted, clearly ancient, but there were lights moving inside it. "Are you getting this, Earth?" he whispered into his communicator. Dr. Chen's voice came back through the quantum link. "We're recording everything, Rodriguez. Whatever you do, don't make any sudden movements." The aliens had found Rodriguez first. His ship's sensors never detected them until they were right next to him. They flew in vessels that looked like they were grown instead of built, all curves and organic shapes. The technology was completely different from anything the Council used. A voice came through his ship's communication system. It spoke in broken human language, like someone learning to talk for the first time. "Human ship. You are far from human space. Why are you here?" Rodriguez took a deep breath. First contact with a new species was always dangerous, but this might be humanity's only chance to find allies. "We are exploring, looking for new places to live." "We mean no harm." There was a long pause. Then the voice came back, sounding more confident. "We know humans. We know about the Exile. The Council does not speak of you, but word travels in the dark spaces. Come aboard our station. We will talk." Rodriguez's hands shook as he guided his ship into the alien docking bay. The bay sealed around his ship with some kind of living membrane. When he stepped outside, he found himself breathing air that tasted like cinnamon and rain. The aliens who met him looked nothing like Council species. They were tall and thin, with forearms and skin that changed color like a chameleon. Their leader introduced herself as Seeker Vash. "We are the Wanderers," she explained as she led Rodriguez through corridors that pulsed like arteries. "Long ago, we too were part of the Great Council, but we asked too many questions. We wanted to explore beyond the safe borders. The Council said this was dangerous and wasteful." "What happened?" Rodriguez asked. Vash's skin flickered to a sad purple color. "We were not exiled like humans. We chose to leave. We took our ships and went to the places the Council fears. The radiation storms, the gravity wells, the dark matter clouds. We found homes in the places they call impossible." Rodriguez realized what this meant. The Wanderers had been living in the silent sectors for thousands of years. They had technology designed for harsh environments. Most importantly, they were not friends of the Council. "How many of your people are there?" he asked. "Perhaps 10 million across 50 systems," Vash replied. "We are not a large people, but we have survived where others could not." "What about humans? How many of you remain?" "About 8 billion on Earth in the original colonies. Maybe 50,000 in the new hidden bases." Vash's skin flashed bright yellow, which Rodriguez guessed meant surprise. "Hidden bases? You have expanded into Council space without being detected?" Rodriguez smiled. "We're good at hiding, and we're good at making broken things work." The meeting between humans and Wanderers changed everything. Over the next 6 months, the two species shared technology and knowledge. The Wanderers taught humans how to build ships that could survive radiation storms and gravity anomalies. Humans taught the Wanderers about their new crystal technology and Lisa Chang's defense network virus. But the Wanderers brought something even more valuable than technology. They brought information about other species. "The Council controls perhaps 60% of the galaxy," Vash explained to Rodriguez and Dr. Chen during a video conference. "But there are many peoples they have abandoned or rejected. Some are too small to matter. Others live in places the Council considers worthless. A few like us chose freedom over safety." She showed them a star map that was very different from the Council's official charts. Instead of empty space and forbidden zones, it showed dozens of independent civilizations living in the margins. "There are the Builders," who live inside artificial asteroids near black holes. The Council considers them insane for living in such danger. There are the Collective, a machine intelligence that lives in the radiation fields around pulsars. The Council fears artificial minds. There are the Nomads, who have no homeworlds and travel constantly. The Council says they are unreliable. Rodriguez studied the map. These are all potential allies? Perhaps, Vash said. Many remember their treatment by the Council with bitterness. But they are also cautious. They have survived by avoiding attention. Joining with humans might bring Council anger upon them. Dr. Chen leaned forward. What if we could offer them protection instead of just asking for help? What do you mean? Vash asked. Human military thinking is different from alien thinking. We don't fight to win perfectly. We fight to survive and make the enemy pay a price. If we could show these species that allying with us makes them stronger, not weaker. Rodriguez understood immediately. We become the protector instead of the refugee. The plan took 3 years to put into action. First, humans had to prove they could protect themselves. Admiral Torres worked with human engineers to design new warships. They weren't as advanced as Council vessels, but they were much tougher. Human ships could take damage and keep fighting. They could repair themselves during battle. Most importantly, they were built to work together in groups. The test came when a Council patrol discovered one of the human mining bases. It was a small base with only 1,000 people, but it was mining rare elements that Earth needed. The Council sent 3 destroyers to eliminate the infection. Instead of running or hiding, the humans fought back. 5 human ships engaged the 3 Council destroyers. The battle lasted only 20 minutes, but when it was over, 2 Council ships were destroyed and the 3rd was badly damaged. The human ships were hurt but still fighting. The Council patrol called for help, but more human ships arrived first. Instead of finishing off the damaged destroyer, the humans let it escape. They wanted the Council to hear about what had happened. Word of the battle spread quickly through the underground networks of the galaxy. Species that had been ignored or oppressed by the Council began to take notice. The humans weren't just surviving their exile. They were becoming strong. The first species to approach humans were the Builders. They lived in massive asteroid fortresses near the galactic core, where radiation levels would kill most organic life in minutes. The Council had written them off as crazy and dangerous. But the Builders had amazing technology. They could move asteroids like toys and build structures that lasted for millions of years. They also had a problem. Pirates kept attacking their outer settlements, stealing their resources and killing their people. The Council refused to help because the Builders lived in unsuitable space. Captain Sarah Martinez, who had been promoted to Admiral after the Council battle, met with the Builder leadership. The meeting took place inside an asteroid that had been completely hollowed out and turned into a city. The Builders looked like giant insects with metal limbs, but they were surprisingly friendly. We have heard humans are good fighters, said Prime Builder Zex, his metal arms clicking as he spoke. We need protection for our outer settlements. What would you want in exchange? Technology, Martinez replied, and friendship. We're not looking to conquer anyone. We're looking for allies who can help each other. The deal was simple. Human warships would patrol Builder space and protect their settlements from pirates. In exchange, the Builders would share their construction technology and provide safe harbors for human ships. The partnership worked perfectly. Human ships were fast and tough enough to chase away most pirates. When they couldn't run the pirates off, human commanders were creative enough to win anyway. Within a year, Builder space was safer than it had been in centuries. Other species began to approach the Human-Builder alliance. The Collective, the machine intelligence that lived near pulsars, offered to share their advanced computer technology in exchange for human help in expanding their territory. The Nomads, who had no fixed homes, wanted protection for their trade routes. Each new alliance made the other stronger. Builder construction technology helped the Nomads build better ships. Collective computer systems made human defenses more effective. Wanderer knowledge of the silent sectors helped everyone find new places to live and hide. By the 10th year of exile, humanity was no longer a small collection of refugees. They were the center of a growing alliance that controlled nearly 30 star systems and had protection agreements with a dozen species. They called themselves the Terran Confederation, but they were still careful to stay hidden from the Council. Their ships avoided Council space. Their bases were built in places the Council considered worthless. Their new allies were species the Council had forgotten or rejected. The Council still thought humans were trapped in their small corner of space, slowly dying without galactic support. They had no idea that humanity was building something new in the dark spaces between the stars. Dr. Chen, now the head of Confederation Science, stood in the observation deck of Sanctuary Station. The massive space habitat orbited a brown dwarf star in the deep silent zone. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see human, wanderer, builder, and collective ships working together to expand the station. 10 years ago, she had been trying to save humanity from XD. The Zephyrian science vessel Crystal Harmony drifted slowly through the asteroid field, its sensors scanning every piece of floating rock. Commander Synthesis of Light had been studying stellar anomalies for 300 years, but nothing had prepared him for what his team had discovered. "Confirm the readings again," he ordered his science officer. The younger Zephyrian's crystal body chimed nervously. "The quantum signatures are consistent, Commander. These asteroids show evidence of artificial manipulation. The energy patterns match human technology, but that should be impossible." Synthesis of Light studied the data with growing alarm. The asteroid field had once been a planet, destroyed by some catastrophic event millions of years ago. But recent scans showed clear signs that someone had been mining the asteroids within the last 5 years. The mining techniques were crude but effective, exactly like human engineering. "Perhaps salvage operations?" suggested the science officer. "Humans are known to take risks for valuable materials. In a radiation field that would kill unprotected humans in minutes?" Synthesis of Light's body flickered with doubt patterns. "And look at these construction signatures. They're not just mining, they're building something." The evidence was undeniable. Deep inside the asteroid field, hidden from casual observation, were the remains of a large construction project. Whatever had been built there was gone now, but the construction debris told a story. Humans had built something in one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. "Send a message to the Council immediately," Synthesis of Light ordered. "Priority 1. We need a full investigation team." 3 weeks later, the asteroid field was swarming with Council ships. The investigation team included representatives from all the major species. Everyone wanted to understand how humans had managed to build anything in such a hostile environment. The Vorthak representative, Prime Seeker Voidwalker, floated through the command center of the investigation fleet. Its transparent body shimmered with concern. "The construction patterns suggest a temporary mining base," reported the Mallory analyst, its tentacles dancing over holographic displays. "But the size is wrong. This was not a small operation. Based on the debris field, whatever they built here could have supported thousands of workers." "Impossible," said the Zephyrian fleet commander. "Humans lack the technology to work in this environment. The radiation alone would overwhelm their primitive shielding." But the evidence kept growing. Hidden sensors found traces of human DNA on the asteroids. Energy residue matched the power crystals humans were known to use. Most disturbing of all, the mining patterns showed clear signs of learning and adaptation over time. "They were here for at least 2 years, concluded the investigation team, long enough to extract significant resources and test new technologies. Prime Seeker Voidwalker called an emergency session of the Council. Within days, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on the massive Council station. The news had already begun to spread, causing concern among member species. "The humans are not contained as we believed," Voidwalker announced to the assembled delegates. "They have found ways to expand beyond their designated space. This mining operation proves they have developed technology and capabilities we did not expect." The Zephyrian Prime delegate rang with alarm tones. "How is this possible? Our containment systems would have detected any large-scale movement of human ships." "They are using the silent sectors," replied the Mallory investigator. "Areas we have marked as too dangerous or worthless for habitation. Our monitoring systems ignore these regions because no civilized species would attempt to live there." A wave of concerned sounds filled the chamber. The silent sectors made up nearly 40% of the galaxy. If humans were operating freely in those areas, they could be anywhere. "What is the extent of their expansion?" asked a delegate from the hegemony. "Unknown," Voidwalker admitted. "We are conducting long-range surveys. But the silent sectors are vast and our sensors are not designed to penetrate the radiation and gravitational anomalies found there." The debate that followed was intense. Some species demanded immediate military action to crush human expansion before it grew larger. Others argued for diplomacy, suggesting that humanity might be willing to negotiate new boundaries. The Vorthak took the hardest line. "Humans are a chaos factor," declared Prime Speaker Echo of Eternity. "Every time we show them mercy, they exploit it. They saved Malari civilians and used it as an excuse to violate our sacred space. We exile them and they use it as an opportunity to expand into forbidden areas. They must be stopped permanently." But stopping humans was proving more difficult than anyone expected. The first scouting missions into the silent sectors found clear evidence of human activity, but no humans. Bases had been built and then abandoned. Mining operations had been completed and the equipment removed. It was like chasing ghosts. Worse, the scouting ships began to experience technical problems. Navigation systems failed. Communication arrays stopped working. Engines would suddenly lose power in the middle of space. The problems were always minor and easily fixed, but they happened at the worst possible times. Captain Resonance of Order commanded the Zephyrian scouting fleet investigating the Gamma sector. His ship had just detected what looked like a human settlement on a moon orbiting a gas giant, when every system on his ship failed at once. "What happened?" he demanded as his crew worked frantically to restore power. "Unknown, sir," replied his engineer. "All systems show green, but nothing is responding to commands." It took 30 minutes to get the ship working again. When they finally reached the moon, the settlement was gone. Nothing remained but empty landing pads and recycling centers. Whoever had been there had packed up and left in less than an hour. "Sir," called out the sensor operator, "I'm detecting a message beacon." The message was in perfect council standard, recorded by a human voice. "Greetings to our friends from the Galactic Council. We apologize for the inconvenience, but this area is currently under construction. For your safety, we recommend avoiding this system until work is completed. Have a pleasant day." Captain Resonance of Order stared at the message display. The humans had known the council ships were coming and had prepared for their arrival. They had disabled council vessels without causing permanent damage, evacuated their base, and left a polite message behind. It was the most sophisticated intelligence operation he had ever seen. Similar encounters happened across the silent sectors. Council investigation teams would find evidence of human activity, but never actual humans. Equipment would malfunction at crucial moments. Ships would lose their way in areas where navigation should have been simple. Communication systems would develop mysterious interference. The humans were always one step ahead, always gone before council forces arrived. It was clear they had advance warning of every council movement. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A junior technician on the council station noticed unusual patterns in the quantum communication network. Someone was accessing the network without authorization, reading messages and data transmissions. "The security breach has been active for at least 3 years," the technician reported to station security. "Someone has been monitoring our communications, but they've been very careful not to leave obvious traces." Security traced the breach to a subroutine hidden deep in the station's operating system. The code was elegant and almost invisible, designed to copy specific types of data without affecting system performance. "This is human programming," concluded the head of station security. "The style is unmistakable, crude but effective with multiple backup systems." The investigation revealed the full scope of human intelligence operations. The network breach wasn't limited to the council station. Similar infiltrations had been found in military bases, research facilities, and government centers across council space. For 3 years, humans had been reading council mail. They knew about every investigation, every military movement, every diplomatic discussion. They had been staying ahead of council forces because they knew exactly where those forces were going and when they would arrive. But the most shocking discovery was still to come. Deep in the captured data files, investigators found evidence that humans were not working alone. These files contained technical specifications from multiple species, reported the analysis team. Wanderer navigation systems, builder construction techniques, even collective computer algorithms. The humans have formed alliances with other species. The council had assumed that humanity was alone and struggling. Instead, they had created a network of allies among the galaxy's forgotten and rejected peoples. Species that the council had written off as primitive, dangerous, or worthless were working together under human leadership. Prime Speaker Echo of Eternity called another emergency session. This time the mood in the chamber was much more serious. The revelation that humans had allies changed everything. How many species are involved? Demanded the Zephyrian Prime. At least 6 confirmed, possibly more, replied the intelligence report. Species we haven't had contact with for centuries. The Wanderers, the Builders, some kind of machine intelligence, and several smaller groups. What are their capabilities? Asked the Malari representative, Nkiti. Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as the largest fleet in human history prepared for battle. Through the viewports, he could see hundreds of ships from a dozen different species. Human vessels flew alongside Wanderer bioships, Builder asteroid fortresses, and the geometric forms of collective machine units. The Council had finally decided to end the human problem permanently. Their fleet was 3 times larger than anything the Terran Confederation could assemble. Over 2,000 ships, including massive dreadnoughts that could destroy planets. But Torres wasn't worried about the size of the enemy fleet. He was thinking about something Admiral Sarah Martinez had told him years ago. We don't fight to win perfectly. We fight to survive and make the enemy pay a price. Admiral, reported Captain Singh from the communication station, all Confederation forces are in position. The Council fleet will reach the Threshold system in 6 hours. Torres nodded. The Threshold system was the key to everything. It contained the largest human construction project ever attempted. A massive ring habitat that could support 50 million people. The Council had discovered it 2 months ago when one of their deep scouts got past Confederation defenses. The discovery had shocked the Council leadership. They thought humans were living in small hidden bases, barely surviving in the hostile silent sectors. Instead, they found evidence of a thriving civilization that had built something beyond their own capabilities. The ring habitat orbited a neutron star, using the intense gravitational field to generate enormous amounts of energy. The radiation level should have killed anything living nearby. But human engineering had found ways to not just survive but thrive in the deadly environment. It's impossible, the Zephyrian analyst had declared. No species can build stable structures in neutron star systems. The gravitational stress would tear apart any known material, but humans had done it anyway, using a combination of builder construction techniques, Wanderer biotechnology, and their own stubborn refusal to accept that things were impossible. The Council's response was swift and decisive. They assembled the largest military force in galactic history and set course for the Threshold system. This time there would be no escape, no clever tricks, no last-minute evacuations. They would destroy the ring habitat and every human ship defending it. The humans have nowhere to run, declared Council Fleet Commander Synthesis of Victory. They have invested too much in this system to abandon it. We will crush them here and end their expansion permanently. But Torres had no intention of running. The battle plan he and his allies had developed was risky, but it played to their strengths. Human ships were tougher and more adaptable than Council vessels. Wanderer bioships could repair themselves during combat. Builder fortresses were nearly indestructible. Collective units could coordinate their actions with perfect precision. Most importantly, they were fighting for their homes while the Council was fighting to maintain control. The battle began as soon as the Council fleet entered the system. Long-range missiles streaked across space, followed by energy beams that lit up the darkness. The Council fleet advanced in perfect formation, their tactics refined over millions of years of warfare. Torres watched the tactical display as the enemy approached. All units execute Plan Chaos. The Confederation fleet seemed to fall apart. Ships scattered in every direction, abandoning their positions and fleeing toward the outer system. Council commanders smiled as they watched their enemies run. This was going exactly as they had expected, but the retreat was an illusion. Human ships dove into the neutron star's radiation field, using the intense energy to mask their signatures. Builder fortresses positioned themselves in the asteroid belt, looking like natural formations until it was too late. Wanderer bioships merged with space debris, becoming invisible to Council sensors. The Council fleet found itself alone in empty space, surrounded by what appeared to be abandoned wreckage. Where did they go? Demanded Commander Synthesis of Victory. Unknown, sir, replied his sensor officer. We're detecting massive interference from the neutron star. They could be anywhere. The first attack came from below where Council ships never expected it. Human vessels burst out of the neutron star's radiation field like ancient submarines surfacing from the depths. Their hulls glowed with absorbed radiation, but their weapons were fully charged and ready. The surprise was complete. A dozen Council ships were destroyed in the first volley before they could respond. Human vessels danced through the enemy formation, targeting command ships and communication arrays. Within minutes, the perfect Council battle line had become a confused mass of individual ships trying to fight enemies that seemed to appear from nowhere. The builder fortresses activated next. What the Council had thought were asteroids suddenly sprouted weapons and shields. Massive energy beams reached across space, cutting through Council dreadnoughts like they were made of paper. Then the Wanderer bioships struck from the flanks. Their living hulls could survive damage that would destroy metal vessels. When Council weapons hit them, they absorbed the energy and kept fighting. Some bioships split into smaller units when damaged, turning one large target into several small ones. The collective units coordinated everything with perfect timing. Human captains who had never worked together before fought like they had trained for years. Information flowed instantly between ships, allowing the entire Confederation fleet to act as a single organism. Commander Synthesis of Victory tried to restore order to his fleet, but human tactics made it impossible. Every time he concentrated his forces in one area, attacks would come from somewhere else. When he tried to chase the attackers, they would vanish into radiation fields or behind asteroid clusters. "This is not how space combat works," he told his tactical officer. "They're not following any recognized doctrine." "Sir, human military theory is different from ours," the officer replied. "They don't try to win cleanly. They try to make the battle too expensive for their enemies to continue. And the battle was becoming very expensive for the Council. Their ships were designed for precision warfare against predictable enemies. They couldn't adapt to human chaos tactics. When their perfect formations broke down, their advantages in technology and numbers became less important. The turning point came when Captain Rodriguez, now commanding a squadron of fast attack ships, managed to get through the Council defenses and attack their command vessel. The assault was suicidal by any reasonable measure, but human pilots had stopped worrying about reasonable measures years ago. Rodriguez's ship rammed directly into the command ship's bridge, sacrificing itself to eliminate the Council's leadership. The explosion was visible across the entire system, and its message was clear: humans would pay any price to defend their freedom. With their command structure disrupted, the Council fleet began to fall apart. Ship captains who had never been trained to think for themselves found themselves fighting an enemy they didn't understand with tactics they had never seen. Some Council ships tried to retreat, only to find their escape routes blocked by Confederation forces. Others attempted to regroup, but human commanders had studied Council tactics for years and knew exactly how to disrupt their formations. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, nearly half the Council fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors retreated to the edge of the system, their perfect formations replaced by a ragged collection of damaged ships. Admiral Torres stood in the ruins of his flagship's bridge, injured but alive. Around him, his crew worked to restore damaged systems. Through the cracked viewports, he could see the ring habitat still intact, its lights shining defiantly in the neutron star's glow. "Admiral," reported Captain Singh, blood running down her face from a head wound, "we're receiving a transmission from the Council fleet. Put it through." The face that appeared on the main screen belonged to Council Fleet Commander Synthesis of Victory. His crystal body was cracked and his light patterns showed defeat and confusion. "Admiral Torres," the Zephyrian said, "I am authorized to discuss terms." Torres almost smiled. "Terms for what?" "For ending this conflict. The Council recognizes that the current situation is unsustainable." "You mean you can't win?" Torres said bluntly. Synthesis of Victory's crystal body flickered with what might have been embarrassment. "The Council has prepared a proposal for new boundaries. Humanity would be granted sovereignty over the silent sectors and allowed to maintain relations with non-Council species." Torres shook his head. "Not good enough. We didn't start this war, but we're going to finish it on our terms." The negotiations took 3 months. Representatives from the Council and the Terran Confederation met on a neutral station in the deep void. The talks were difficult and sometimes heated, but both sides knew the alternative was a war that could destroy the galaxy. In the end, humanity got most of what they wanted: The Terran Confederation was recognized as an equal power to the Galactic Council, with sovereignty over nearly half the galaxy. All the species that had allied with humanity were granted protection and the right to self-determination. The Council kept control of their core systems and their loyal species, but they could no longer claim to rule the entire galaxy. For the first time in millions of years,